Are you ready to hear the second part of chapter 7? It's coming. Let's see what the problem is, and if they can solve it, you're going to be surprised. Bye. Then I saw something scary looking swimming our way. It was flat, and it had a strange shape. It almost looked as if it had wings. It had a long, skinny tail like a whip trailing in the back. And it was big. It was at least 10 or 15 times the size of our shrunken sub. "What's that thing?" Keisha asked. Mr. Hill looked out the window. "Oh dear," he answered. "That's a stingray. We must be careful not to startle it. Its tail is covered with thorns, and it also has a poisonous stinger on it." "Is it going to get us?" Wanda asked. "I think we'd better move away from it just to be safe," Mr. Hill answered. The Ray Report by Carlos. Rays are flattened fish that are close relatives of sharks. I didn't know that. In fact, scientists believe rays evolved from sharks. Like sharks, rays have no bones, only cartilage. There are more than 400 members of the ray family. They range in size from a few inches wide to more than 22 feet wide. So they're very small to very big. "Full speed ahead, Liz," Miss Frizzle shouted. "Hang on tight, class." Liz pulled a lever on the instrument panel. The tiny bus sub zoomed forward. Bad move. The sudden noise and movement seemed to upset the stingray. It zoomed after us at lightning speed. The bus sub moved fast, but the ray was faster. I just knew we were going to get stung by that tail. Then Ralphie yelled, "Miss Frizzle, help! Look at that!" "It's a shark, Miss Frizzle. It's coming right at us," Keisha added. I looked out the window. A blue-gray shark was swimming toward us, fast. It was going faster than any shark I'd ever seen, and I had seen a lot of sharks by then. I could see that there was something really weird about this shark. It was covered with little fish. "Oh, great, another shark," I groaned. "That's exactly what we need." "That's right, Arnold," the Frizz said. "That's a mako shark, and it is exactly what we need to escape the stingray. Hang on, class. It's time for Operation Remora." "Operation Rewata?" I had no idea what the Frizz was talking about, but when that shark caught up to us, I saw Miss Frizzle didn't try to escape it. Instead, she pushed a button on the sub's instrument panel. A little suction cup shot out from the sub and latched right onto the shark. From the desk of Miss Frizzle, "Speed racer." The short fin mako shark is the fastest shark in the ocean. Some experts say makos have been known to reach speeds of over 60 miles an hour. That's the average short fin mako. Probably can't swim quite that fast though, but that's as fast as you go on a car on a highway. Makos can leap above the surface of the water too. Makos like to eat fish that travel in schools, like tuna, herring, mackerel, and swordfish. But in a pinch, a mako will eat almost anything. Makos have been known to attack humans. Some humans hunt makos. They are prized as game fish. Here's a picture of the mako shark. Very fast. "What are you doing, Miss Frizzle?" Ralphie asked. "We're hitching a ride out of here," Miss Frizzle answered. "This mako shark will outswim that stingray." "But is this safe?" Wanda wondered. "It's much safer than getting stung by a ray," Miss Frizzle replied. "Do you see the little fish all around us stuck to this mako shark? The shark just thinks we're one of them." "What are those fish?" asked Tim. "They're called remoras," Mr. Hill answered. They often hitch rides on sharks. The sharks really bother them. Look, DA said, their fins are like little suction cups, holding them onto the shark's body. Whoa, what's happening? Ralphie screamed. Hang on, everybody, Miss Frizzle shouted. Suddenly, we felt the sub rushing upward. And then for the first time in hours, I saw the blue sky, but only for a second. The mako shark had leaped above the surface and splashed back into the water with a jolt. Oh, Keisha moaned. That made my stomach feel funny. Mine too, Carlos said. Well, look out, because here we go again, Mr. Hill warned us. Once again, the mako shark leaped above the surface of the water, and it made another leap, and then another, and another. I looked around the sub. Some of the other kids' faces had turned green. So were Mr. Hill's and Miss Frizzle's. They were all moaning and groaning. Everyone was seasick, except me. I felt just fine. In fact, I thought the leaping was pretty cool. Riding in the Magic School remora sub was really fun, and it gave me a great idea for my report, finally. More about remoras by Arnold. The remora or suckerfish is a little fish with a suction cup-like fin. Remoras often use these fins to latch onto sharks and other sea animals. No one is sure why they do that. Sometimes remoras eat scraps of a shark's meal, but that doesn't seem to be the reason they latch onto sharks. Remoras also hitch rides with creatures that don't eat anything remoras eat. Some scientists say that remoras are attracted by the movement. Instinct tells the remoras to latch onto moving objects. Sharks have been known to eat remoras, but not very often. There's a remora, it's very small, right above the shark that it might attach to. The mako jumped again. While we were out of the water, I saw that we were close to shore. Awesome! We can finally go home. Hey, Miss Frizzle, I shouted. I just saw the shore. I think it's time to detach the sub from the shark. But Miss Frizzle didn't answer. She still looked green and she was holding her stomach. She seemed to be too sick to say or do anything. What were we going to do? At any minute, this shark might take us back out into the ocean. We had had enough close calls. I wanted to get as far away from this ocean as possible. I had never been in charge before, and I didn't think I would like it, but it was up to me to get us out of there. I made my way over to the sub's instrument panel. I was a little nervous looking at all the buttons. What if I pressed the wrong one? Then I saw a button marked suction cup. That had to be the right one, right? Nervously, I pressed it. With a pop, hold on tight, everyone. With a pop, the sub detached from the shark's body. Hooray! We were free. Now I had to get us to shore. I took a deep breath, grabbed the wheel. I had never steered a bus sub before, and I wasn't sure if I could do it. But I had been watching the Frizz steer all day long, and of course, I'd seen her steer the Magic School Bus lots of times. So I aimed the sub for the beach and tried my best to steer the way Miss Frizzle did. Everything went smoothly until we got close to the beach. That's when I realized, in my hurry to get out of there, I was going way too fast. Just when I thought would crash into the beach, the sub turned back into the bus and the brakes just in time to avoid a crash landing. I couldn't believe my luck. We were finally safe on the shore, and it was me, Arnold, who got us there. After a few minutes on land, Miss Frizzle and my classmates stopped looking so green. When everyone felt well enough, Miss Frizzle took the wheel of our normal-sized school bus, and we were on our way home. All the way there, other kids kept telling me I was a hero and talking about how brave I was. You know what I told Miss Frizzle? This turned out to be a pretty cool field trip after all, but I never want to do it again. Good old Arnold, Miss Frizzle said. I knew we could count on you. Tomorrow, the last chapter, Chapter 8. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.